Welcome into Rob Wright's Gen X Pop Culture. And today I'm going to give you my full non-spoiler review of Deadpool and the Wolverine. So overall, you may have seen my initial video about it, my initial reaction. I think this is a funny, fun movie. Ryan Reynolds is great as Deadpool. He has his usual wisecracks, very funny jokes. Hugh Jackman plays Wolverine just the same way as he's played him for decades, and he's great. Both those guys are great. It's very funny. There's a lot of great one-liners. There's a lot of fun fight scenes in this movie. The other great thing about this movie is if you've watched all the Marvel movies that were done by Fox, there are a ton of Easter eggs in this movie. If you can catch all of them, some of them are very obvious. There are a lot of fun characters that make appearance from some of the Fox films that are great. And those aspects of the movie are a lot of fun. There's also a lot of great funny fight scenes with Deadpool doing his thing, similar to Deadpool 1 and 2. The downside of it is it has a little bit different feel than the first Deadpools. And they're using the TVA from the Loki series from Marvel. And part of that is what I don't like about it. So I've watched all the Fox Marvel movies. I've seen most of the Disney Marvel stuff. I watched Loki. Loki was a mixed bag. I didn't think it was that great. I thought the first season was awful. The second season was okay. But I don't like the full concept of the TVA because they're trying too hard to explain the timeline. And in this one, if you are kind of not familiar with some of that, you may get a little bit lost at times as to what the overall plot or what that means to this movie. And that's where the plot is kind of off because it involves the TVA. And if you're not familiar with that, that could throw you off a little bit. They do explain it okay in the movie. I just didn't think the overall plot of the movie was that great. The villains in the movie are okay. The main villain is interesting. However, there are parts of the movie where it just gets a little bit repetitive. There's some parts of the movie where you're like, okay, we've done this already. Can we move on and see something else or do something else with some of these characters? Especially with some of the great ones that you're going to see in this. That's where it kind of lags. The overall plot is okay, but it's not great. It could have been a little bit better. It could have been a little bit tighter. I do like the fact that it makes fun of both Fox and Disney. And if you stay through the credits, they do have some good tributes to some of the older movies that were done by Fox. And then there's a thing at the very end with Deadpool that's really funny and really kind of feeds into the movie and maybe feeds into where they might go with the next set of Deadpool movies or Deadpool TV shows. Overall, I would say that this movie definitely is an R-rated movie because of all the language and the gore. It definitely takes the language and the gore to another level compared to the other two Deadpool movies. So I don't know, depending upon how you want to present it to your kids, it may not be as kid-friendly as you would want it to be, but that's why it's rated R. Overall, I would say this movie is probably about a 7.5 to an 8. I did enjoy it. I did have a lot of fun going to it. It's one of those fun summer movies that you would want to go to. However, I just didn't like the plot, the overall plot. And I really don't want to spoil it for you, so I don't really want to go into all the details. Just know that there's a villain that uses the TVA, and I just didn't like the TVA and the whole concept of the TVA. I thought that maybe going into this movie that it would be a much bigger cinematic plot with Deadpool and Wolverine. However, it's kind of limited, and it kind of just wraps it up into a kind of a standalone movie. So those are my thoughts of this movie. Like I said, I give it about a 7.5, 8 because it's very entertaining and a lot of fun. And I do think that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds do a fantastic job. I just think the plot and the overall writing of the movie could have been a little bit better for it. But anyway, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Share them below. Like and subscribe. and we'll see you in the next one.